David here, and today I'm going to talk about the head mount systems I use for my GoPro when I'm hunting or shooting to practice for like a USPSA match. This started kind of after I lost my first dog I ever owned, a Vizsla named Murphy. I lost him to cancer last year, and my biggest regret with him, beyond him getting sick obviously, was that I didn't have much, if any, video of him in the field, and he was just such an awesome and fun dog to hunt over, and I really wish I had more memories of those hunts, you know, just to take with me after he's gone. So that is what started this whole little venture, and I have two setups that I use. One is for more long duration, so that's typically when I'm bird hunting for, like, you know, chukar, quail, or grouse. Those hunts might be anywhere from 1 to 4 hours long, and your standard GoPro battery, I haven't had a lot of great experiences with them as far as duration and battery life is concerned. So I started looking for something that would make it just hit the record button at the beginning of the hunt, wear the GoPro throughout the whole thing, and not have to worry about, you know, missing a cool shot or
Good boy.
yeah, missing good footage of my dogs doing their thing. That's what started this little exploration, and I thought I'd share how I do it. So the first setup I'm going to talk about is for the hunting that I do. What I started with, I basically wanted to model this after the kind of helmet setup that I used to run in the military, when I'd have night vision and a battery pack on the back of it, and I had a bunch of other garbage mounted on it as well. But I knew I didn't want to have a ballistic helmet or even one of those non-ballistic kind of bump style helmets like you see from Ops Corps. So I was looking for something lightweight, comfortable, but that would hold the GoPro and a battery pack securely for a multiple hour hunt. Now I use an old GoPro Hero 9 Black. I think they're up to like the GoPro 12s now, but this one works just fine for what I'm doing. And the setup I have for the hunting is using one of the Cry Precision nightcaps. It's a sort of collapsible night vision headborne system, much more comfortable than the Skull Crushers we used to have. But you can see here it's got a few different components on it. So here's the base cap. It's adjustable, it's got some Velcro, it has little pockets for your cables to run through. And then I added I think the brand, I didn't want to buy a VAS shroud that was an actual, like, legitimate military spec one, because they're a couple $100. So I just went on to Amazon. I got this one from AT Airsoft. It's their VAS shroud NVG mount. I think it's aluminum. And it was probably, I don't know, it was pretty cheap, maybe 20 bucks or so. So I mounted that to the front with the 3 screws that it comes with. I did chop those screws short just because they were sticking out quite a bit. And then to that, or in addition to that, I added this little, let's see if I can get it in there, Sherwoo aluminum NVG mount, GoPro compatible version. So it has the GoPro mount on top of it. And then that just clicks into the front. I did add about 3 layers of Gorilla Tape onto the back just because there's a little bit of a rattle. This fits a little loose. They do include some foam backers, which I didn't realize until after I had put this thing together, and I just keep those as spares. But holds it on there nice and securely. If you're not totally comfortable with that, you could always do a tie down around this GoPro mount to the VAS shroud, and, you know, if it fell off, you would have it hanging there in front of you and you would know. So the GoPro just connects into that. You got to pop these little bottom mounts out. Slide this bad boy on here. Screw it tight, and then you have to set your angle. So I use the GoPro app to get a preview when I'm getting this set up before I take off on the hunt. And I just make sure that the camera angle's decent enough to where it's going to cover the dogs, even if they're kind of right underfoot, as well as, you know, out to a good 20, 50 meters, just depending on what we're hunting that day. So you just adjust that angle down. Once you're happy, you tighten it up. And in this, I run a 256 gigabyte micro SD card. I usually carry 2 of those with me, and that will give me about just a shade over 4 hours of film recording. Now that's going to depend if you're running like 1080 or 4K, but for the most part it'll last me a full hunt, and if it doesn't, I just swap the card out when I'm taking a water break or resting for a little bit with the dogs. Now to connect the battery pack just slaps on the back of here. This is a Goal Zero Venture 35 battery. They do have one that's slightly bigger, but I thought the form factor with this, I didn't want a giant battery hanging like way off the sides. So the 35 seems to give me enough run time, and it's not so heavy in the back that it feels super awkward. But I connect a USB to USB-C cable. The USB standard goes to the battery, and then I run the cable through this little webbing channel, or like a mesh channel that you can run cables through. So that runs through there, and then this GoPro has the media pod attached to it, so that allows me to plug in a USB-C to the side, and then we're good to go. Now, one thing to note is you do have to have a GoPro battery in the device, and I'll charge those up the day before. I use the white batteries. I think those are like the cold weather batteries, just because those seem to last longer, and during the hunting season here in Nevada it gets pretty chilly, but those work well enough. And then with this battery pack on the back, even if that battery starts to deplete itself, this will charge it and keep the camera running. And so I just turn this guy on at the beginning of the hunt, and then I don't really worry about it until the hunt is over. And if I've got any cool footage, I can just download that after the fact from the micro SD to my computer and pick out the clips that I like the best. So I get, a good 4 hours of runtime off of this. Now I do look a little absurd, but you know, it's for the dogs, so who gives a shit? But it's really comfortable. Once you get this fitted, I run it under the chin. I don't use it on the chin itself, and it holds well enough. It's quite adjustable, so you can customize the fit as you need, and I just run that the whole time. Now, one thing to note is if you run glasses, so I started wearing glasses again recently, and I do have a pair of prescription shooting glasses. Depending on the widthness of the little arms that come back, this can get a little annoying, but you know, it's worth it. If you have any like slim profile shooting glasses, those tend to work the best. But that's the setup, 4 hours of runtime. And it's the most comfortable way I've found to record hunts or hikes or whatever you want to do outdoors that's going to be more than just a few minutes of recording in one go. The second setup I have is really simple. This is for more like when I'm pistol shooting on the range. I might wear this at a competition. There's a competition next month I'm going to shoot. But pretty basic setup. This is just a baseball cap. You can use any kind you like. I use the Crye Precision Shooter's cap. I like stuff from Crye. Kind of a callback to my military days. But what I did is I drilled a hole through the bill of the cap. Let's see if I can take this mount off. So I drilled a hole through the bill of the cap, and then I ran a 3/8-16 camera screw adapter. So it's just got like a little button on the bottom that you can grip and turn, so you don't have to have a tool to do it. And then this is just a standard GoPro tripod mount adapter. They might have something that's maybe a little more curved, gives you a better fit, but this seems to work just fine. And I'll run the GoPro just straight on this. I don't run a battery pack on it. Typically when I'm doing a shooting session, I'm on the range for maybe an hour and a half. So I don't need that 4 hours of battery. I do leave that 256 gigabyte SD card in it just because I don't want to unexpectedly run out of storage and then miss my shooting practice. But what I like about this first person view when it comes to shooting is that it doesn't show you anything with footwork or how you're moving between shooting positions, but it does give you some good feedback on what your vision's doing, what your head's doing. So if you are, you know, being proactive, and as you're running up to and slowing down to the next shooting position, you know, you should be scanning and locking your eyes on the next target. And so with this, I can tell if I'm being a bit lazy about it, like getting on the target visually a bit late. And it's just kind of telling me of where my head is. I can't get this dang thing on. What my vision's doing, and maybe what I need to work on from that perspective. It doesn't give you a lot of feedbacks on shots if you're not super close, but I think this, in addition to filming yourself from the third person, so like I just mount my phone on a tripod behind me so I can cover the whole range. And if you combine the two or overlay them, it does give you pretty good feedback on what you need to improve that's not just, you know, hits on target. So this guy, you do have to get your cap to fit pretty tightly. And with this media mod, it's a little heavier and a little bulkier, but for the most part, you know, you can move your head up and down, left and right, and it's gonna stay steady. I don't think I'd want to mount a battery pack on this, but I do have a very small one I could use if I wanted to. But that's my setup. I've got some video of a few hunts from this last season, just some valley quail hunting I did with my dogs, as well as a shooting session, and you can kind of see the view you get. One thing that is nice about these GoPros is they have like a image stabilization feature. I forget what it's called, like hyper smooth or something like that it might be. But when you're running around, or like when I'm hunting, my head's kind of constantly swiveling, you know, looking for the dogs, looking at the terrain, maybe looking at where the birds are, where I think they might be. And that hyper smooth feature makes it pan, you know, left to right really smoothly, so you don't get that jerky, jittery video, even if you're, you know, running at a full sprint or close to it. But that's how I set up my gear. It seems to be working pretty well so far, and hopefully this is helpful. If you have any tips on GoPro settings for filming, like please send them, because I do get some pretty harsh looking video from time to time, so any tips are appreciated. But that's how I run my gear, and hope it's helpful. Thanks.